We live in an ocean of information coming at us in all kinds of media. Much of it is the same thing, repeated or distorted, making it difficult at times to believe what you see and hear. But most of it is directed to trying to be the headline or the front page story. But the backstory is often more interesting and is seldom told in a flashy way. I'd like to share a backstory involving a book I wrote in Japanese in 2014 on world-class speaking. I had studied this from my teacher and mentor, Craig Valentine, the Toastmasters World Champion of Public Speaking in 1999. Craig certified me as the first world-class speaking coach, and I had been coaching and doing seminars on presentations in both English and Japanese. I made a proposal to a major Japanese publisher, and in 2014, they published this book, World Class Speaking, with a Japanese title, which became a #1 bestseller in business books on Amazon in Japan. But today's backstory is not about the content, which would be a whole series in itself, but rather about the business card that I created to promote it and the icons that were used to represent the chapters inside. The key icon here is the blue knight chess piece. It was a great trigger for questions about the book, especially because the book was not about chess. People would always ask me, and they still do, why did you choose a chess piece and why that color? Well, that is where the backstory begins. Back in high school, one of my favorite TV programs was called Have Gun, Will Travel, an American Western series that was broadcast on CBS on both television and radio between 1957 and 1963, starring Richard Boone as Paladin. It was one of the most popular programs on television at that time, and you can still see most of the versions on YouTube. What I liked about Paladin was one of the same things that in later years I came to admire and respect about the samurai, that one could be a strong and independent warrior and at the same time highly cultured and educated. Although Paladin was a hired gunfighter with incredible speed and accuracy with his single-action army cavalry pistol, which was legendary, although he was a hired gun, he naturally fought to free people who were trapped in desperate circumstances. But each episode starts with Paladin featured in fancy clothing, enjoying the good life in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in San Francisco, where he lived, between his adventures to often desolate towns in the Old West. The character of Paladin was truly modeled on that of the knight. Richard Boone was an excellent horseman and seemed to be able to do anything that was needed to survive in the very opposite of his usual living circumstances. He was multilingual, sometimes speaking Chinese in Chinatown, or even conversing with Apaches in the Old West in their native tongue. And he was very popular with the leading ladies, who each week represented an all-star cast of the leading actresses at the time. Too good to be true, but he played the part very well. And moreover, the stories were written by top talent, including Gene Roddenberry, who went on to write Star Trek. Paladin also carried a business card featuring the symbol of the chess knight piece that was also on his holster, and he had a wonderfully easy-to-understand business proposition. Have gun, will travel. Still inspired by this wonderful series, I decided to design the business card to promote my book in the same way, with the book cover printed on the front and the knight's chess piece as my logo on the back, done in my favorite color, Japan blue. And with my own proposition for business, have book, will travel. Although most Japanese readers would not have known about the television series, not only because it was aired in America in English, but because it was on television in the late 1950s and early 1960s. But nevertheless, the chess piece and the slogan always aroused curiosity and opened the door for me to tell my story. Moreover, the book itself contains 6 chapters, each one represented by a chess piece icon. Chapter 1 is the pawn, addressing how to organize your content. Chapter 2 is the knight, featuring openings and closings for a speech, and like the knight, being able to begin and end with an interesting twist. Chapter 3 is the bishop, on how to make your contents attractive with the power of story. Chapter 4 is the Rook, on how to prepare and design slides. Chapter 5 is the Queen, on how to deliver a dynamic presentation. And in Chapter 6 is the King, on how to rehearse and set your stage for a world-class presentation. I even did 2 TEDx presentations, one in Japan and one in Norway, which were actually about Namba, the art of physical finesse, but were also designed to feature world-class speaking in action. But back to the backstory. Although none of these details are obvious anywhere in the book, and most of the people in Japan to whom I give my business card would not have any reason to know about the background, it turned out to be an extremely effective way to engage their interest and curiosity about the book. Now I sometimes refer to it as samurai speaking, and to myself as a Renaissance samurai. The boy's dream lives on. I even think it's possible that the television series prepared me early in life for my future interest in the samurai ideal of Bunbudyodo, mastery of sword and letters. So pay attention to your passions, especially those which have been with you from a young age. Hopefully you have kept them alive, but it is never too late to rekindle them, and it makes a great life story when you look back and find your dreams have come true.